Hi everyone. Welcome to the recap book. Today we'll recap the science fiction horror series, From. Please sit back and enjoy.
Season starts in a small town, and we see Sheriff Boyd walking the streets and ringing a bell in the evening. Hearing the bell, the town starts to close, with people heading towards their homes before dark. We also get to see some kind of rock being placed at the door of every building in the town. Frank, one of the residents of the town, being drunk, is not able to make it back home before dark. We see his wife closing the windows of the house, while her daughter hears someone at the window, and as she looks, she finds an old woman, claiming to be her grandmother, asking her to allow her to come in. Before her mother could stop her, Megan opens the window, and we get to see something attacking them. In the morning, as Frank returns home, Sheriff Boyd is quite angry with him for not nailing the windows, and we find that both his daughter and his wife were brutally killed. We also get to see the Matthews family driving cross country in their RV, and on their way, they encounter a fallen tree blocking the road. It forces them to a detour, and they find themselves passing through a creepy town. Sheriff Boyd tells Jim that he needs to follow the road in order to reach the highway. Jim drives along the road, only to find himself back in the town. His wife Tabitha thinks that he might have missed a turn, and as they go again they find themselves back in the town again and again. Jim, being frustrated, decides to go back the opposite way, while the sheriff, along with his deputy Kenny, gets ready to stop them. Thus they put down a spike strip. But before they could get back in town again, they encounter another car on the road that runs them off the road, causing the RV to flip and crash. The driver of the car is able to get to the town in order to get help. Boyd heads towards the accident site, while he tells Kenny to reach there with help, as they need to rush, since it will be dark soon. Reaching there, Boyd finds that there was another passenger in the car, and he is quite high. While in the RV, Jim is stuck, and Tabitha is knocked unconscious. Their daughter Julie is not harmed, but their son Ethan has his leg pierced. Boyd gets Julie out, while Kenny also reaches there, along with the town's Dr. Christie, town's priest Father Cautry, and Boyd's son Ellis. They are able to bring out Tabitha also, but with Ethan's leg being stuck, there is no way for them to free him before dark. Boyd is able to get the Matthews family to split up, telling them that they have to be indoors before dark. As Kenny returns with the group, he forgot about the spike strips. Thus they had to run on foot, and are barely able to make it to the colony house. While Boyd takes shelter in the RV, along with Jim and Christie, as Christie works on Ethan's leg. As night falls, Jim starts to hear people calling him outside the RV. Boyd lets him know that those are not humans, but shape-shifting monsters who hunt for sports, and they want him to let them in, but as long as the magical stone he placed is there, they cannot get in uninvited. Back at the colony house, Tabitha, Julie, and unconscious Jade are separated and tied down. Donna, the colony's leader, explains to Tabitha that this is their protocol for the first night, in order to ensure everyone's safety, including theirs. She tells her how a mysterious fallen tree has brought every one of them into the town, with no way for them of leaving, and they are now trapped in the town. In addition, she tells her about the shape-shifting monsters, who come out to hunt in the night, and how a mysterious stone that Boyd found keeps them safe and acts as a shield. Meanwhile, Julie is creeped out by one of the oldest survivors of the town, Victor. Fatima, seeing her scared, cuts her free, and shows her the paintings of Ellis, in order to make her feel comfortable. On the other hand, at the town's clinic, Sarah is looking after Toby, the driver of the car who caused the accident. But Sarah, hearing voices in her head, kills Toby, and opens the door, allowing the monsters to enter. She later tells his brother that she did that as a voice told her to do so, and assured her that if she does this, they will be able to leave the town and go back home. As the day breaks, the Matthew family is reunited, and for now, they go to the colony house. With them being in the colony house, we find that Ethan could see a mysterious boy in white outside his window. While Kenny, reaching the clinic, finds its door open. As he goes in, he finds that his father was killed by the monsters, along with others. Father Cautry takes Jim and Tabitha on a tour of the town, and explains to them that in an upcoming ritual, they will get a chance to choose between living at the colony house as a community, or shifting to a private house in the town. As they go through the town, they also come across a strange structure, and Father Cautry tells them that it is their only form of punishment in the town, where the culprit is confined overnight and left for the monsters. And they might be using it for the first time to punish Frank, as his negligence lead to the death of his family. Boyd is not willing to punish Frank, as he made the box only for deterrence, and not for actual punishment. But Frank, losing his family, wants to go in the box. Meanwhile, Donna explains the situation to a now conscious Jade, but being a wealthy and entitled software developer, he doesn't believe her, and assumes that the town is an escape room, arranged by his friend Toby. Ethan interacts with Victor, and learns that he thinks that the trees are moving closer to the house. In addition, getting to know from Ethan about the boy he saw, Victor is quite intrigued. At the choosing day ceremony, Julie goes against her parents, and chooses to stay in the colony house, instead of choosing to be with her family at a townhouse. Jade, finding everything to be a prank, causes a scene. It is when Kenny brings him to his friend's grave, hoping to prove to him that this is the reality, and later, he takes him in at his house. While at night, Frank, being in the box, is killed by the monsters. Jim takes Ethan to the town's diner. It is where Victor shows him a photo he drew of a boy, and Ethan tells him that he is the same boy he saw. We get to know that Victor came to the town when he was very young, and we see him surrounded by the corpses of many residents. While he sees the boy in white, who invites him to play. Jim, seeing Victor talking with his son, is quite upset, and tells him never to approach his son again. Back at the colony house, Julie begins to have regrets, when she learns that the residents share everything and live communally. But finding a friend in Fatima, she was quite happy. As Tabitha reaches there, they get into an argument, and she tells her mother that she knows that Jim and her are separating. We also get to know that they lost a baby boy, and because of it, they grew apart. As Tabitha returns home, she gets into an argument with Jim. While Victor takes Ethan away to search for the boy in the woods. In the woods, Victor shows Ethan a tree, and he calls it the faraway tree, and it can teleport anything to another random place. Jim and Tabitha, searching for Ethan in the woods, are surrounded by wild dogs, but Victor scares them off with a gun, and they are reunited with their son. They later sit down with Boyd, in order to know more about each other. It is when we see Sarah, hearing voices again, and is being asked to kill Ethan, and this leads to her having a seizure. Sarah recovers at the clinic, and decides to spend the night there, in order to avoid her brother. Jim, along with his family, in order to figure things out, start writing questions on the wall, for whom they seek answers. They also get to know that chicken and another farm animals magically appear at the edge of the town. In addition, Jim also discovered that there are no wires in any of the electrical equipments. While Victor digs a set of graves outside the colony house, telling Donna that they need to prepare. Kenny shows Jade that the town has no fixed physical location, as the vehicle which got there have number plates from all across the country, and were driving to different locations when they ended up there. As they were talking, the radio emits static, and Jade takes the radio with him. Sarah, being in the clinic with Christy, asks her if she would do one bad thing for the whole town to go home. Christy, being away from her fiancé, tells Sarah that if it will allow everyone to go home, she would definitely do it. Sarah later goes to Matthews's house and takes Ethan to the farm. Her brother, feeling guilty, confesses to Father Kotri and tells him everything his sister has done. And as he looks for his sister, he learns that she has gone to the farm along with Ethan. Sarah, being at the farm, tricks and locks Tabitha up in a barn. But his brother reaches there before she could harm Ethan, and in the struggle, Sarah accidentally kills her brother. While Ethan runs off, and is found by Julie. Father Kotri also reaches the farm, only to find Sarah's brother being killed by her. As the rest of the town got there, Father Kotri tells everyone that Sarah escaped into the woods. Boyd assures Jim that if she returns, she will be put in the box. But in reality, we find that Sarah is being held captive in a cellar by Father Kotri. He tells her that his brother told him everything, even about the voices she hears. He explains to her that the modern Bible is composed of 73 books, and as per his theory, the townspeople are being tested by God, in order to formulate a new, 74th book. But in order to be sure, he wants her to prove to him that the voices she hears are indeed real, and not something she has made up. The voices prove their existence by making Sarah draw a bag that Father Kotri buried when he first arrived. And no one knew about it apart from him. On the other hand, Jade asks for Jim's help in order to fix the radio, hoping that they might get a signal, and in order to get the required parts, they strip down the car in which Jade arrived. Jim climbs up on a tree in order to look for a signal, while Jade starts hallucinating and feels he is being chased by a Civil War-era soldier. In addition, he also sees a strange symbol in a tree. Despite Jade running away, Jim is able to test the radio, and he gets a static signal. Later, as Jade draws the symbol he saw, Kenny's mother Tianchen notices the same at the diner, and shows him a discarded notebook with similar drawings, which was there in the belonging left behind by the people who came to the town. Tabitha, dropping off the belongings of Frank's family, finds a bracelet there, and she gets quite spooked by it. As Jim returns home, he finds Tabitha digging a hole in the basement to find where the electric power lines lead, hoping to get some kind of an answer. And we get to know that the bracelet she found was made by her for Jim, which he lost when Julie was born. We also learn that Boyd has a tremor in his hand, and he thinks that it might be an early onset of Parkinson's. Thus he decides to venture deep on foot into the jungle, hoping to find a way out. But Kenny, losing his father already, gets quite upset by this, as he thinks it's a suicide mission. Boyd, seeing him upset, lets him know that he is suffering from an extremely rare case of early onset Parkinson's. Thus he wants to try his luck in finding a way out for everyone. While at the colony house, we get to see a resident named Kevin, and he has developed feelings for one of the monsters outside, with whom he talks regularly. Jim tells Jade that the radio got static, but in order to transmit the signal far, they need to build a larger tower for the antenna. Jim also helps out Tabitha in digging the basement of the house, hoping to find the location where the wire leads to. Father Khatri tells Boyd about Sarah and the voices she hears. He tells him that he has her imprisoned, and he believes her. In addition, he wants to join him in his expedition along with Sarah, as he feels that Sarah, with the help of the voices, will be able to help them find a way out. While Jade finds a photograph in the discarded notebook, and Tianchen points out Victor in the back of the photo, when he was very young. Back at the colony house, the residents are celebrating the first anniversary of Fatima's arrival in the town. During the party, Fatima kisses another resident, causing both Ellis and Julie to become jealous. While Kevin, being convinced by the monster, invites her in. The monster kills him, and leaves the window open for others to come in. Monsters getting inside the colony house kill many of the residents. Donna is able to get a few of them away in a van. Ellis and Fatima survive by barricading themselves in the colony house foyer with the magical stone. Victor helps out Julie, and he follows the boy in white and they go into the woods. Victor instructs Julie to get inside the faraway tree, and as she gets in, she is transported to a root cellar. Donna reaches the sheriff's station with the survivors from the house. As Boyd and Father Khatri let them in, a monster kills Father Khatri. As a new day dawns, Boyd, knowing Father Khatri's wishes, gets Sarah out and tells her that he plans to venture out into the woods, and as per the father's wishes he will take her with him. Fatima, knowing that Boyd will be leaving, asks his son Ellis to reconcile with him before it's too late. And in a flashback, we get to see Boyd, his wife Abby, and Ellis arriving in the town just minutes before nightfall. They are stopped by Father Khatri, who is able to get them to a concealed cellar, and they survive for the first night. In the morning, Father Khatri and Donna explain the reality of the town to them. Boyd, being retired from the armed forces, and having experience in setting up camps, takes up the leadership role to help the townspeople survive. He begins organizing the town's resources and exploring the woods, and he is able to find livestock at the edge of the town. As he takes more responsibilities, he was able to give lesser time to his family. Ellis tells him that his mother's mental health is declining. Boyd tells him not to worry, and that he will be back before nightfall. But Boyd is not able to make it back, as he got lost in the woods overnight. He took refuge inside a cave while surrounded by monsters. It is here he discovered the magical stones and their protective effect. As he returns to town the next morning, he finds that his wife Abby was shooting the people of the town, convinced that she is trapped in a nightmare. Boyd tries to stop her, but Abby ignores him, and as she was about to shoot Ellis, Boyd shoots and kills her. In the present, Ellis reconciles with his father, before he ventures out in the woods. Kenny takes the role of the new sheriff, while Jade has not been able to find Victor. Later, Jim and Jade explain the plan to build a radio tower to the people of the town. The people of the town help them out in building the tower on the roof of the colony house, as it is the highest point there. They are able to scavenge most of the resources, but are not able to sort out a way of providing it power. It is Tianchen who gives Jade the idea to use the electricity from the colony house to power up their radio tower. While in the woods, Boyd and Sarah reach the cave where he first found the magical stones, and this is the furthest anyone has ever ventured into the woods from the town. As they go in deeper, they find a tree with small bottles dangling from the branches. As Boyd tries to get to a bottle, Sarah has another seizure. When Sarah wakes up, she finds herself in a tent with Boyd, as they prepare to spend the night in the woods. Boyd tells Sarah that the bottles had scraps of paper in them with one dating back to 1864. While Sarah tells him that this time, the voice she heard was of a female and she had never heard her before. She tells him that the voice instructed her to tell Boyd that his plan was a mistake and there are worse things in the forest than the monsters, and then she addresses him with a nickname that his wife Abby used to call him. But before he could comprehend the same, their tent is attacked by an unseen force. When the assault ceases, the tent is lit up from the outside, and the two hear a loud horn. Back in the town, with the problem of power being solved, they are hoping to finish the work on the tower and send a transmission before nightfall. While Ellis proposes to Fatima, and she accepts the same. Kenny also makes an advance on Christy, but she lets him know that she is already engaged and thus cannot be involved with him. Boyd and Sarah get out of the tent in the morning, only to discover they are in an area of forest covered by spider webs. Boyd is bitten by a spider, and he becomes delirious, but Sarah is able to help him push through, and they keep on moving. Back in the town, the radio tower is finally set up, and Jim wants to send out a transmission before the storm could approach them. As Jim transmits, he reaches someone on the radio, but the voice addresses him by his name and warns him that Tabitha should not be digging. Hearing this, Jim rushes back to the house. While at the house, as Tabitha digs, the floor collapses, and she finds herself in a cave. She is surprised to see Victor in the caves, who tells her that they are not safe, as the monsters live inside the caves. While Boyd and Sarah are able to find a lighthouse. But with the storm upon them, Sarah, following the instruction of the boy in the white, asks Boyd to get in a faraway tree. And as the season ends, we see Jim reaching his house, but not being able to find his wife. Boyd being transported into a shaft, where he is trapped. And a bus arriving at the town's diner.
Thanks for watching. Remember to like the video and hit the bell icon to subscribe for more recaps.